Hello, welcome to Indian Techies. In today's session, we are going to discuss about one-dimensional array. So, in previous class, we have discussed about what is an array and what are the types of array. In that, the first one is one-dimensional array. Now, a array can be called as a collection of similar data elements, or array can be also called as a collection of homogeneous data elements. When you are collecting same data type as one group, it can be called as an array. In that, the first one is one-dimensional array. Now, how to declare, how to access one-dimensional array, we will see in today's session. Now, first, the syntax of one-dimensional array is, first you have to declare what data type it is. That is, whether it is an integer or a character or a float or a double. Means what type of data you are gathering as one group, that data type you have to declare. For the total group, you have to give a name, you call it as a variable name. Next, what is the size of that group? Means, if it is an integer, how many integers you want? If it is a character, how many characters you want? You have to mention the size of that group. This is how you declare a one-dimensional array. For example, suppose I am considering it as integer data type, so I have declared as integer, right? Next, I am declaring a variable name as ARR, any name that you wish. Now, I am declaring the size as 10. Remember, these square brackets are compulsory because you don't use any other brackets that you wish. Round brackets or braces or whatever it may be, you should not use those, or you should use these square brackets only. Now, whenever you declare like this, int ARR of 10, then your memory will be allocated. I mean, initialization of memory for 10 variables has to be done. Right? Now, suppose if integer occupies 2 bytes of memory, then 2 into 10, 20 bytes of memory has to be allocated. But here there is a small thing, that is, whenever you are saying the array size is 10, suppose if it is an integer, 2 into 10, 20 bytes of memory allocation should be done. One condition to perform this array is, this 20 bytes of memory should be in a single slot. So, suppose there is a memory which consists of 20 bytes, but this 20 bytes of memory is not at same place. 4 bytes at one part, 2 bytes at another part, 6 bytes at another part, and again 4 bytes and 2 bytes at different location if the memory is there. Even though the total together, if it is collectively called as 20 bytes, the memory will not be allocated. If this 20 bytes of memory will be as a single slot at a particular place, then only the array memory can be allocated. Right? So, array allocates memory contiguously. Remember this point, array allocates memory contiguously, means side by side. First variable, side by only second variable memory, side by only third variable memory. Like the 10 variables memory will be allocated continuously. That is one thing you have to remember in array. Right? Now, how you are going to access? Before going to access, first of all, internally the accessing has to be identified. 10 variables. I am allocating memory for 10 variables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Consider each box as 2 bytes of memory since it is an integer. If it is a character, it can be considered as one byte. If it is a float, each box is considered as 4 bytes. If it is a double, each box is considered as 8 bytes. Now, I am telling about integer array. So, consider each box as 2 bytes. So, 2, 2, 2, 2, so on, 2 into 10, 20 bytes of memory has been allocated if memory is available. Otherwise, it will not be allocated. Now, after allocating, this total array name is ARR. Right? Now, for each and every variable, for the purpose of accessing, array assigns a index number, position. This always array allocates position number starts from 0. First variable's position will be always 0, remember. Even though it should start from 1, but array position starts from 0. This position is used to access the actual value that is allocated in the memory. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This total count is 10. But internally the index position allocated for this array for accessing is from 0 to 9. If you count total, it will be 10, but it starts from 0. Ends with 10 minus 1, that is 9. Now like this, if memory is allocated, then how to access the variable? Accessing means at the time of giving input, or for purpose of calculation, or for the purpose of taking output on the screen, printing output on the screen, then we must have names. 10 variables are there. See, for all these 10 variables, you have given a group name. Suppose I want to give one value, then what is the name of that first integer or any middle object? So 10 variables must have 10 names for the purpose of accessing. Right? Now, what will be the name? See, the variable name is ARR. The first variable name will be 0. So ARR of 0 means the ARR of 0 means the value inside this. In the same way, second variable name is ARR of 1. Third variable name is ARR of 2. Fourth variable name is ARR of 4. So on, the last variable name as per this declaration is ARR of 9. So these are the 10 names of the array variables. This is how memory will be allocated. Right? These are the 10 variables. Now for these 10 variables, if you want to give input, there are two ways of giving input. One is static input. Another one is dynamic input. So what do you mean by static input? At the time of writing the program only, if you assign the values directly in the program, that is called as a static input. But dynamic means at the time of executing the program, if the user asks, then only if you give the input. If the program asks, then only if you give the input, then that is called as dynamic input. That is enter any 10 values, then you have to give the input. Then that is considered as a dynamic input. Now static and dynamic inputs. Now we will see what is static input and what is dynamic input. Static input also we are having different types. So the first method is, I have already said this total array name is ARR. Now one way of giving is ARR of 0 is equal to 10. Means in this array 0th position, I am storing the value as 10. Means giving one by one value. That is ARR of 1 is equal to some value called as 20. So I am placing 20 here. ARR of 2, I am placing some value as 30. I am placing some value as 30. Like this you can give one by one variable till ARR of 9. This is one way of giving input. Each and every line you are giving separate one. Now another way is, at the time of declaration only you can assign the values. That is how I am writing int a of 10 is equal to, open these braces, okay, next 10, 20, 30, 40, any numbers you can give. So 70, 80, 90, 100. This is another way of giving input in a single line. Then how it will be considered is, first one will be considered as ARR of 0. Obviously second one will be considered as ARR of 1. This will be considered as ARR of 2. So on, this last one will be considered as ARR of 9. Right. So since I have declared the size as 10, I have given the 10 values in the braces. Since array starts from 0, automatically first one will be considered as 0 and last one will be considered as 9. Suppose there will be one more requirement, like I will be declaring the array size as int a of 10, but at present I don't want 10 values. Suppose I want only 5 values as a input. Then I will give only 5 values, 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Right? So first one will be considered like ARR of 0, ARR of 1, ARR of 2, ARR of 3, ARR of 4. But for remaining 5 values also memory has been allocated. If you don't give any of the value, then the default values for remaining all the variables will be garbage value. So what do you mean by garbage value? Some random unpredictable value can be called as a garbage value. If you don't give some unused, some random number which is not predictable, which is not usable, some waste value, simply calling, will be there defaultly in those remaining variables. That is from a of 6 to a of 9, a of 5 to a of 9. This is how you assign input at the time of program writing only. This is static input, writing the or assigning the values to an array at the time of writing the program only. Next, dynamic input. So dynamic input means you are taking the input at the time of programming execution. That is, with the help of a scanf, if you are able to take input, then that is called as a dynamic input. Suppose if you want to take one variable, how do you take? Since it is integer, %d ampersand ARR of 0. This is how you take input at the time of program execution. Now this is not a single variable. This is an array of variables. Then how many scanfs you have to write? 10 scanfs you have to write. Or in the same one scanf you have to write 10 %ds, comma, ampersand ARR of 0, ampersand ARR of 1, 2. Like that you have to write 10 times. If you are writing in the same old method, then what is the use of array concept? The programming size input is same in that way only, same big size in that way only. Only declaration size has been reduced. Then for the input it has not been reduced. That's why we don't take like this one by one variable. That is how we are going to take is, for example, see here. What are the 10 variables? ARR of 0, ARR of 1, ARR of 2, so on. How many? ARR of 9. Suppose if 10 variables are there. If you observe clearly, in all these 10 variables, for every variable, the name of a variable is same. For all the variables, ARR is common. Next, for all the variables, square brackets are common. But only what is being changed? Internally, this index position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It is all in increment order, and in particular ascending order it is available. That too, one difference. 0, next one is incremented by 1, next one is incremented by 2. Incremented by 1 becomes 2, next one by 1, like that. Every value is incremented by 1. There is a pattern for all these array variables. We will use this benefit to make taking input as a easiest way. For this, you have to use a loop. You can use while loop, you can use do while loop, or also you can use for loop. But most preferably and recommended, it is for loop only. Why? I will tell you later. First of all, let me declare this. How to write a for loop? That is for. As per for logic, the first condition is initialization. The first statement you have to write is initialization. You are taking input from which position? 0th position. So I is equal to 0, semicolon. Till where you have to take this one? Till 9 only. So the condition is I less than 10. You can write I less than 10, or also you can write I less than or equal to 9. Next, every time I have to increment one by one position. So I will write I plus plus. If you write plus plus I also, not a problem, because I plus plus and plus plus I. Whenever you use this increment operator without any equation independently, both are considered as same. Now, I am writing scanf percentile D ampersand A of I. So this is an important statement. So what happens first? I equal to 0. Now this will not be executed. 0 less than 10? Yes. Then it goes inside the loop. Scanf percentile A of I. I value is 0 now. Now it will take input for A of 0. Next I plus plus. So 0 becomes 1. Again comes to the condition. Now I value is 1. 1 less than 10? Yes. Again go inside, take input for A of I. Means I value is 1. A of 1 it will take. In next repetition it will take input for A of 2, A of 3, A of 4, A of 5, so on, A of 9. Afterwards 9 plus plus 10. Again it comes to the condition. 10 less than 10? No. The condition becomes false and come out of the for loop. So this for loop by single statement scanf, this loop repeats n number of times. Suppose you want to take 100 values as an input. Then if your array size is 100, then you no need to write or you need to add 90 scanfs or 90 percentile D. Just change this 10 to 100. That's it. This repetition continues 100 number of times. So how flexible is it? Right? This is how you perform input. In the same way, if you want to print all those 10 values also, instead of writing scanf, inside the for loop you will be writing a printf. When I equal to 0, it prints A of 0. Next A of 1. Next A of 2. Same like that A of 9, all the values will be printed. So, whenever you are using a array, remember, you are almost all of the accessing will be using for loop only. Whether it is maybe input, whether it may be calculation, or whether it may be printing or displaying it on the screen, you have to use for loop only. Then, why we should not use while loop or do while loop? Again, I am telling you, there is no rule that you should not use while loop or do while loop. Okay, for our flexibility, we are using for loop. What is that flexibility? So, inside the while or do while, you can write only condition, because this declaration is done before while, condition is done side by while, increment is done inside the while or do while. Three are done at three different places, right? So for a array, whenever there is a problem or whenever you are writing, if three are at three different places, your basic identifying, debugging or understanding will be little bit difficult. It will be complex. Okay, it will be time taking. Since all are at single place, we will be using the for loop. If you want more clarity, in my previous video there is a for loop concept. You can get more information there why we are using for loop. Right? This is how you are going to access any of the one dimensional array. This is dynamic input. Right? We will see one small example program here right now. Just take input and print those input as it is as a output. Let us see an example program just to print 10 values. Take input of 10 values, then print those 10 values as it is. So first, as usual, hash include stdio dot h, void main. Now I am declaring a array of size 10. For loop purpose, I am declaring another variable called as I. Just take 10 input values. That is printf enter any 10 values. You can write this statement of your wish as per your program. Now, so whenever I say 10 values, then I should stop, enter any 10 values. You can write any of thing of your wish. So Now I am writing for loop, that is for I is equal to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus. Inside this I am taking input of these 10 values, that is scanf, since it is integer, percentile d, ampersand a of I. Then you have to give 10 values. After giving those 10 values, I just want to print these 10 values as it is. Right? Now, again I am writing for loop I is equal to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus. Then I am printing printf. Every value I have to print in a separate line. For that purpose I am using /n. Percentile d a of I. Close for close main. So first you are declaring input. For that we are declaring 10 values for loop I. Then enter any 10 values. This for loop will take 10 values. This for loop will print this all the 10 values that we have taken as scanf. Now you may have one doubt. Why can't we write this printf inside this first for loop only? Scanf followed by printf in the same for loop. Why we are writing this printf separately in another for loop? The solution or the answer is, if you write printf immediately in the next line of scanf, what happens is, first line what is your scanf, you will give input, immediately it will print there only. Suppose if you give 10 as input, immediately it will print 10 there only. Next line 20 if you give input, you will print 20 immediately there only. 30 if you give input, it will print 30 there only. Now I don't want like this. First of all, I have to give all my inputs. Afterwards, again it has to print all the inputs that I have given separately. So this for loop we write separately for input. This for loop we write separately for output. This is an example program for one-dimensional array. We are having some other programs which we will discuss in the next session regarding to the one-dimensional array. Hope you understood one-dimensional array. Thank you for watching Indian Techies. Please like, comment, subscribe and share.